California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Daily of us on quite the show as we have a lot to get to in the world of Southern California sports, such as Matthew Stafford remaining an LA Ram. How big is this, and what did the two sides agree to when it came to Matthew Stafford? Also, the Lakers have been looking pretty good. They're taking on the Denver Nuggets, they're taking on the Dallas Mavericks, and yesterday they just took down the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tonight and Sunday, they are hosting the Los Angeles Clippers, who have kind of had a little bit of a rocky start post All-Star break, but they did snap their 3-game skid against the Chicago Bulls, which doesn't really take too much, but it is what it is. And UNC and UCLA will be battling it out for the Big Ten regular season championship and the number 1 seed of the Big Ten tournament. Will the Terps come out on top, or will the Bruins reign supreme? Also, UC San Diego pulled off a big win yesterday against Tucson in men's basketball. As what does that mean for the Terps in terms of the regular season title of the Big West Conference? All that and more here on SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Monday afternoon, Monday evening, Monday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way in episode 218 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Without any further delay, let's begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Also, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers, if not 400, by the end of March. And with your help, we could definitely make it happen. So definitely do subscribe to us on YouTube. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Also, make sure to check out our website, iesportsradio.com, for all your latest sports news, our blog, our page dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, our merchandise shop, where you can cop t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and much more. Check out our Hall of Fame as well, where yours truly was inducted as inductee number 10 in the Hall of Fame, as well as check out all of our other show pages in regards to our shows. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports teams around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. A huge shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, Raw Nutrition Supplements, and Vital Apparel. So without any further delay, let's get on in to what those sponsors are all about, as well as IE Sports Radio.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at planetjerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out our amazing sponsors as well as follow us, IE Sports Radio, on all social media platforms. Also, check us out on other podcast platforms such as Spreaker, Spotify, GeoSavin, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. The list goes on and on. Also, make sure to check out our newest sponsor or our most recent sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. And if you use the code IESR, you will get 10% off your order. So definitely do that. We would greatly appreciate it. And the way you can follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show and myself on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at SoCal Show ISR. And you can follow me personally at Teran Rodriguez 1. Also, make sure to check out the Supporters Club. It's also in the description of the show, as well as it's also down below here where you can follow the link. And for $5 a month, you could be part of the Supporters Club. This will get you a shot from me when it comes to every show on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And also, after 4 months of being a member of the Supporters Club, I will ship you off a IE Sports Radio tank top or t-shirt, whichever you prefer. And also, maybe much more. Maybe I'll throw in some gift cards after a little while, something of that sort. I want to definitely make it worth the while of the subscriber for the Supporters Club for the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. So there you have it right there. And without any further delay, let us begin. So we've got quite a bit to talk about in just a short amount of time, just because I do have a guest. Spoiler alert, he was a part of the show early on. So we're gonna actually jump to the Rams portion. So we don't have much on the Chargers, but Matthew Stafford will be staying with the Rams. So this was reported today that Matthew Stafford will be staying as an LA Ram, and that is good beams right there, as I'm happy that Stafford will be staying put, as we have quite a bit happening in the chat room. Ralph Clay says, good evening, Teran. It's Friday, and the SoCal Supreme Sports Show is on. Have a great show, my man. And then Brian, a.k.a. B-Dog, is the host of our new Boston show, Boston Sports Pound. He says, good evening, have a great show. Thank you, Brian. And then Ralph Clay said it best. Hit this thumbs up for Teran Rodriguez and SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Subscribe to us as well. So thank you, Ralph. And then Ralph pretty much reiterates what I'm about to go into. So yeah. And then my boy Big Mike says, hey, Teran, have a great show. I appreciate you, Big Mike. He'll be going on in a little bit as well. So Matthew Stafford stays with the Rams. So this is definitely big right there. And as much as I want to give the reporters who thought that Matthew Stafford was going to be getting traded dumb of the week, I actually have something better in mind. But yeah, Matthew Stafford staying with the Rams. So look, I think this is the best thing for Stafford and the Rams, for both parties. And the reason being is because I just think that this is definitely going to be a much worthwhile thing. I mean, if the Rams get rid of Stafford, they better be hoping for something big. But I don't think anybody else is going to be parting ways with their big draft picks or going to be trading to the Rams a big haul and whatnot. So I think for the Rams, this is a big win for them, and I'm happy they're keeping Stafford. Is he up there in age? Yes. But this was reported today, 4 hours ago, that Rams quarterback and the Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford and the Rams will be closing in on a deal for Stafford's return to LA. And then Adam Schefter says LA's quarterback is back. Rams and Matthew Stafford reached an agreement today for a restructured deal that keeps him in Los Angeles and quashes any and all trade speculation per sources. The first significant offseason quarterback domino has fallen. Excellent. So this is good because the Rams don't need to worry about who their next quarterback is going to be. They won't have to worry if Jimmy Garoppolo will be quarterback. They won't have to worry about drafting a quarterback in the draft. They won't have to worry about trading for a quarterback possibly. So Matthew Stafford is back. Now, the one thing I will say about the Rams, they still got to shore up their offensive line, and most teams have the Rams going offensive line. One so-called expert has the Rams going wide receiver. I think they have been planning to take one of the wide receivers from Ohio State, which isn't bad. But I mean, they do plan on trading Cooper Kupp. But with the speculation of how Matthew Stafford's going to be back, maybe Cooper Kupp will be back, but I'm not sure. And then there was also some other mock drafts that said that the Rams were going to take a defensive lineman or a quarterback. Quarterback would be ideal, but honestly, I think the Rams need to go offensive line just because they got to protect Matthew Stafford and whatnot. So protect Matthew Stafford at all costs, and I'm happy that the Rams will be keeping Matthew Stafford. So great job to the Rams for reaching a deal with Matthew Stafford, and great job to Matthew Stafford for reaching deal and basically saying, I'm going to be staying here. Ain't no way am I leaving. I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. So great job, and I'm happy for that. I'm happy as for the Rams' sake. Now, they still have to have a complete roster. They still got to have their top running back. They got to have some. There's still speculation that they're probably going to trade Cooper Kupp, which is most likely possible. They've also got to shore up that offensive line, maybe beef up the defensive line. So I think for the Rams, it's still got a ways to go, but I'm liking the direction that the Rams are going in. Remember, this is the Rams team, the same Rams team that nearly almost could have beaten the Eagles. Unfortunately, snow kind of got in the way, and unfortunately, the Eagles were just too darn tough, and the Rams just made one too many mistakes, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. All right, but that is that for the NFL. We're not going to talk Chargers this week, and we won't go over mock drafts all that much, but we'll save that for later. But we'll jump on into some college basketball, some college men's basketball. So UCLA, they took down Ohio State most recently as they have a battle against number 20 Purdue. Should be a good one. USC, on the other hand, they are going in the opposite direction. Look, let's just get this out of the way. USC is in a transition year with a new head coach in Eric Musselman, a bunch of new players. Quite a bit of their roster got hit hard in terms of the transfer portal and graduation. So it's kind of expected to see USC on the struggle bus. But, yeah, they're just barely above 500, and they are fourth to last in the Big Ten Conference. They're actually tied for third to last with the likes of Northwestern, Minnesota, Iowa, and, yeah. So, basically, USC is expected to basically be where they're at. Now, UCLA, on the other hand, is a whole different story. They're actually tied for fourth with Purdue and Maryland, for that matter. That Minnesota loss is starting to loom a little large because they legit could be tied for third with Wisconsin, and they could possibly be ranked. So, this is a team that I think might be the best unranked team in the nation, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just being biased, but UCLA, with that win over Purdue, if they could do so tonight, they could possibly jump the Boilermakers, or at least jump on into the top 25. So you have that right there. I think that should be a good matchup right there. I don't think there's any fear when it comes to UCLA. I think they're going to try to get the job done, and I think it's definitely doable for them. But the big storyline is UC San Diego continuing their magical season. They have now won 10 in a row as they just took down CSUN on the road, 77-71, which I thought was a very impressive victory. They also beat Hawaii, which they just thumped them bad. Keep in mind this was in La Jolla, but Hawaii just got stomped all over by UC San Diego, 83-44. So UC San Diego is still in first place in the Big West Conference regular season standings, which I think is pretty darn good. As the rest of the way, they've only got 3 matches left, and they've got Cal State Fullerton tomorrow. They've got Long Beach State on Thursday, and then they've got UC Davis on next Saturday. Now, my thing is for UC San Diego, they're having a fantastic season. They've won 10 straight. They're probably arguably the best mid-major conference that is not ranked. But I will also say there actually was some big news regarding UC San Diego. But it's good news. So UC San Diego's game against UC Davis is actually going to have a lot more on the line than it needs to be. So do you want to know what obviously it's for implications regarding the Big West Conference standings as well as the Big West Conference tournament in terms of seeding. But that match is so big, obviously it's because of those reasons, that UC San Diego and UC Davis will actually be played on ESPN2, which I think is very awesome. So it's not every day we get to see a Big West Conference match on ESPN, on ESPN's national networks. They're most likely either going to be on ESPN Plus or ESPNU at the best, but ESPN2 for UC San Diego and UC Davis. Now, Davis, they're actually just a little above 500 in terms of their conference record and in terms of their overall record. So UC San Diego, if I were UC San Diego, I still wouldn't underestimate Davis. And I wouldn't underestimate the rest of their opponents either. I mean, both their opponents are going to be at home, though. They've got Cal State Fullerton, which is the worst team in the league at a blanking 6-23 and 1-16 in the conference. And then they've got Long Beach State, who's no better. They're 7-22 and 3-14. So Davis is probably going to be the toughest match remaining on the schedule for the Tritons. But if they could do so, they would clinch the number 1 overall seed. What they did clinch yesterday was a double bye for the Big West Conference tournament. So UC San Diego is already in the Big West Conference tournament semifinal. So if the season ended today and if seedings were to hold, they'd probably draw UC Riverside or UC Santa Barbara. Now, looking at both those opponents, they've taken down UC Santa Barbara 77-63, and they also took them down 84-76 in the second. Well, that was the first matchup, 84-76 in the first matchup, and then 77-63 in the second meeting. Now, for UC Riverside, that's actually a whole different story. They're actually one of two conference losses that they had. They lost the first one 85-81 in Riverside, and they won the second one 91-71, which is a huge statement win. So for UC San Diego, if seedings hold up, they should draw UC Riverside or UC Santa Barbara. It all depends on the previous preliminary rounds, but you never know when it comes to these conference tournaments. Now for UC Irvine, they are still in second place. They just beat Cal State Fullerton 76-51. They also just beat Bakersfield 73-64 after they lost to CSUN last week. So for UC Irvine, they've got Long Beach State, UC Davis, and UC Santa Barbara on the remainder of their schedule. Long Beach State, even though Long Beach State is the second worst team in the conference, they played UC Irvine tough. They almost beat the Anteaters. It was like a 3-point loss or 3-point win against the Beach in Long Beach. So actually it was a 5-point win in overtime against Long Beach State. And then against Davis, they're in the middle of the road as well as UC Santa Barbara. So UC Irvine definitely has the more challenging schedule between they and UC San Diego. Northridge, I don't think will win the conference. They would need a lot to happen. Northridge would need to win out, and then they need UC San Diego and UC Irvine to lose out. And even so, I don't think CSUN is guaranteed to win the conference just because that loss last night kind of dampens their spirits, or not dampens their spirits, dampens their chances in terms of winning the conference. So I think for Northridge, it's obviously tough, but they're still having a great turnaround season. They're another team in the Big West Conference that has 20-plus wins. And UC Irvine, don't look now, they're 24-5. Like UC San Diego and UC Irvine both should be in the Big West, or should both be in the NCAA tournament. That's why we're trying to get the trend two Big West going. So shout out to Dan Butterly when it comes to that. So yeah, I would like to see both UC San Diego and UC Irvine. I'm just going to say, if UC Irvine and UC San Diego both make the Big West Conference tournament and they beat all their opponents in convincing fashion the rest of the way, you got to make an argument to put both of them in. No matter who wins or who loses the Big West Conference tournament final, if both teams make it, they both should get in. There's no question about it. You did never really see two Big West Conference teams in the Big Dance. I don't remember the last time that actually happened. And UC Irvine, they're still dangerous as ever. I know they just recently lost to Northridge 8 days ago, but if there is a double-digit team you do not want to face in the Big West or in the NCAA tournament that makes it, whether it's at large or as an automatic qualifier, it is UC Irvine. So Russell Turner still has his team going in the right direction. So you have that right there. All right, but that's that for college men's basketball. Jumping over to college women's basketball. All right, so the Big Ten regular season championship is up for grabs as UCLA actually climbed from number 6 all the way up to number 2. I think that was the case. Regardless, UCLA is number 2 in the nation after Notre Dame fell to NC State. So, but speaking of those gutty little, actually, let's talk about the Trojans. So coming off their big win over UCLA, as I mentioned, they just narrowly escaped against Washington, which definitely had trap game written all over them, or post-trap game, because obviously it's so easy to get caught up in terms of Washington. And then same with Michigan State, I'm sorry. So USC took down Michigan State. They barely took down Washington. Against Illinois, they took them down, the number 25 ranked Illini of Illinois, as they took them down 76-66. So USC, it was kind of tight in the first half. They were only up 4. And Juju Watkins did lead the way with 22 points. She was 6 for 16 from the field, but it is what it is. Eventually, USC just had enough in the tank in the second half. They didn't really shoot the ball all that great. They were dreadful from downtown. They did have 10 turnovers, but Illinois had 17. And just like the matchup against UCLA, Illinois was limited to how many players they had. They only had 7 players active in this game. And I'm not sure if that was because they were still down in terms of their numbers, because they were still missing players due to injuries and illnesses. But Illinois they're going through it. And if there's a team that I kind of feel bad for, it's Illinois, because a team playing 7 players is not good for them, especially for all their players just getting so many minutes. Like they had 3 of their 5 starters play 40-plus minutes. That kind of spells this team needs a lot more bench depth. Meanwhile, for USC, they were led by, obviously, Juju Watkins, who had 22 points. But also with 22 points was Kiki Irefin, who also had 22 points. Rhea Marshall had 12 points and 13 boards. She also had 5 assists and 4 steals. So good job to her. That's the big thing for USC. They need all sorts of scores to help take the load off of Juju Watkins. If they can have that, then they are good to go. But USC, this was definitely had trap game written all over them just because Illinois could have definitely been a big-time trap game because Illinois, I don't think their record shows it, but they're still a solid team. And the Big Ten is always known for having really good women's basketball teams. So a good test for USC as they got that matchup out of the way. Now they take on UCLA, or the gutty little Bruins. So UCLA, they actually took down Michigan. They took out Michigan State and Illinois last week, following them following their defeat against USC. And like I said, I replied to them on X last week, the streak was bound to be broken. But the season's not over by any means. It's better this team lost now than they lost in the NCAA tournament. And yes, I'm going to say NCAA tournament because there's no way in heck UCLA gets left out of the NCAA tournament. They've been ranked pretty much top 10 all season long. They've been ranked top 5 all season long. They've been ranked number 1 all season, for the most part. So there's no way in heck that UCLA gets left out. Now, UCLA did have a little bit of a close call as they barely edged out Iowa 67-65. Iowa is such a tough place to play at, apparently, as USC lost to Iowa, if you all remember. But Lauren Betts was there to save the day for UCLA. She had 22 points to lead the gutty little Bruins. They also got 12 points from Kiki Rice. They also got 12 boards from Lauren Betts. As a team, UCLA, they only made 5 threes, but they did shoot 42% from the field, and they did miss 6 free throws, whereas Iowa only missed 4 free throws. And Iowa, for the fortunate sake of UCLA, they only shot 36% from the field. This is where they missed Caitlin Clark. If they had Caitlin Clark, I don't know if UCLA pulls off this win, but you could say the same thing for USC, where they could have gotten belted a whole lot worse, but I digress. But yeah, late free throws from UCLA did help the Bruins get the win, and thank goodness for that, because if they lost that one, then their odds of possibly getting the number 1 seed in the Big Ten Conference Tournament would have taken a massive hit. They did also take down Wisconsin earlier in the week, 91-61. Again, it's a road matchup. Could have been served as a trap game. Same with Iowa, but UCLA didn't fall in the trap, and they just blew the doors off of Wisconsin. So now they get to take on USC at home at Pauley Pavilion for the chance to become Big Ten regular season champions and the number 1 seed of the Big Ten Conference Tournament. So I think this is going to be a very fun matchup. And USC did get the win the first go-around, but I think UCLA will be better. It's certainly going to be packed in Pauley Pavilion. Pauley Pavilion is going to be loud and proud. Like, if you all remember when UCLA took on the other USC team in South Carolina, it was loud and deafening according to multiple reporters, and UCLA was able to get the win over South Carolina. So you have that right there. I think it's going to be a very fun matchup. It's the number 2 Bruins against the number 4 Women of Troy, and I think we're in for a very, very, very fun matchup right here. And don't be surprised if this one goes down to the wire. I think the previous one should have gone down to the wire. And don't be surprised if Juju Watkins has to go off, as well as Lauren Betts. All right, but that is that for USC-UCLA. Jumping over to the Big West Conference, UC Riverside did probably the most unthinkable thing that I did not think that most Big West Conference would do. They actually beat Hawaii. I'm not kidding you. They took down Hawaii fairly easily on its home floor, 61-51. So good job to the Highlanders. Now, UC Riverside hasn't really had the best season. They're kind of below the middle of the road in terms of the Big West Conference standings, but this win over Hawaii is definitely big, especially since Hawaii was actually down 11 after the first quarter. They actually were tied at the end of the second quarter, and eventually UC Riverside was able to have enough in the tank. They just had that extra gear in that second half to pull away from the Rainbow Wahine. Shelly Duchemin led the way for the Highlanders, who had 14. She had 14 points. Michaela Rose added 11 points. Off the bench, Hannah Wickstrom actually led the entire way for UC Riverside, as she had 18 points to go along with 5 boards. So I think for UC Riverside, this is definitely a confidence booster, because Hawaii had won like 14 or 15 in a row as they were in the zone. And this could probably be the team that realistically takes the Big West Conference automatic qualifier, unless UC Irvine gets hot. But that's a big if, because UC Irvine, they're still doing solid. They're near the 20-win mark, which I think is pretty darn good. And they're actually going the right direction, unlike UC or Long Beach State or the other teams, which that's a bummer. Well, speaking of UC Irvine, they just beat Cal State Fullerton 62-34. Yeah, that's 34. Wow. Anyway, UC Irvine, they've got Long Beach State tomorrow at Long Beach, which Long Beach State's kind of in the middle of the road. It's only a matter of time before they clinch a spot in the Big West Conference tournament. And then they've got UC Davis, which, looking at Davis, they are not too far behind UC Irvine. I imagine that if Davis beats Irvine or they win out, Davis can swoop in and take the number 2 seed. I don't think winning the Big West Conference is in the cards for Davis, but I think for Davis, they still can move up in terms of the Big West Conference standings. And then closing off the regular season, UC Irvine has UC Santa Barbara, which is actually in the middle of the road of the Big West Conference. So, in my opinion, I think that could be a little bit sus, if you ask me. I think that's a very daunting end of the regular season for UC Irvine. But if they manage to win out and then Hawaii loses at least 2 games, I think UC Riverside can, or not UC Riverside, UC Irvine can definitely, swoop in and take that number 1 seed and the regular season Big West Conference title. Now, I guess there was some breaking news saying that there was some news. This was from 4 years ago. Okay, never mind. Why is this news still here when it comes to UC Riverside? Like, what the heck? Anyway, Hawaii. So, okay, looking at Hawaii, I know they're not SoCal, but Hawaii's got UC Davis, Bakersfield, and Northridge left. That Bakersfield and Northridge are the 2 bottom teams in the Big West, while Davis, it's in Davis, so look. The problem with UC Irvine is that they don't have the tiebreaker over Hawaii. Hawaii has the head-to-head over UC Irvine. So in order for the Anteaters to get the number 1 seed, Hawaii has to lose 2 out of their next 3, or they have to lose out, and then Irvine has to win at least 2 out of the next 3. If not, UC Irvine's got to win out. But I just think that Hawaii's going to have they're probably going to at least clinch a share. Irvine could probably clinch a share of the Big West Conference regular season title, but they're probably not going to get the 1 seed. I think the 1 seed might be out of the question, but I think Irvine should still be a tough contender coming into the Big West Conference tournament, and they should still get the double bye. I think the double bye is basically the top 2 seeds of the Big West Conference regular season standings. So that's what I'm speculating, unless the Big West did something different. So there you have it right there for UC Irvine. I think UC Irvine definitely has the best chance of winning the Big West Conference standings. UC San Diego might actually swoop in. They're the second best team from Southern California in the Big West Conference, but they're the 4th best team in the Big West Conference. Santa Barbara might have a good shot. Long Beach State, I don't know. I mean, it's still anyone's game. I think anyone can beat anybody at any given day when it comes to the Big West Conference. I just think Irvine's got a little bit of a tougher road to finish off the season. I mean, you've got Davis tomorrow, or I'm sorry, not Davis tomorrow. They got Long Beach State, which that's a rivalry game. Then you've got Davis and Santa Barbara. So that's a very daunting gauntlet for the Anteaters. But you never know with them. I think they'll still do great things. And 2 of those 3 games are at home. So they've only got Long Beach State at Long Beach State, so they don't have to go too far. It's not like they're flying out to Hawaii or they're flying out to Davis. But that'll do it for the women's college basketball portion of this show. We're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we've got some MLS to discuss, a little bit of some college softball, some NHL, and we can't forget about my guest, and we talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. Keep it locked here. You were listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for for All That Sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Mike from Indie Sports Nation. Come hang out with me each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, where we talk things Indiana sports. We talk Colts, Pacers, Fever, Indy Ignite, and we dive into the college scene as well. Boilermakers, Hoosiers, Irish, Bulldogs, and every school in between. But we don't stop there. We'll sprinkle in some NHRA and cover the IndyCar series. From the turf to the hardwood to the track, we got you covered. Come hang out with your boy, Big Mike, each and every Friday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Indie Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
The roar of the crowd, the drama and pageantry, the adrenaline rush and decadence of the world of professional wrestling. Join yours truly, the SoCal Saint, for the best pro wrestling podcast going today, the IE Wrestling Show, exclusively on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Join us every Wednesday from 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, every Wednesday, the IE Wrestling Show. It's just too woo!
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows such as Indie Sports Nation with Big Mike, and also check out the IE Wrestling Show. So the IE Wrestling Show actually had a big monument moment today, as it actually surpassed 100 episodes. So congratulations to Martin Sandoval, aka the SoCal Saint, as well as his partner Travis, aka T5, on surpassing 100 episodes of the IE Wrestling Show, because it is just too sweet. And for my boy Martin, I just gotta say, salute to you, good sir. And one more thing, yeet! So congratulations to Martin Sandoval and the IE Wrestling Show, as well as T5. All right, but getting back into the Southern California sports action, so we're gonna talk a little MLS. So the MLS is back, ladies and gentlemen, as we're going to try to get through this really quick, as well as the NHL and a little bit of some college baseball, or not college baseball, college softball, because my guest is here will be coming on momentarily, but I digress regarding that. So for the MLS season just kicked off last week. Excuse me, just trying to clear my throat here, but yeah, the MLS just kicked off last week. In terms of its regular season, as the Galaxy actually had the complete honor of being the first team to kick everything off, as they actually kicked off against none other than San Diego FC. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. San Diego actually is a new expansion team in the MLS, so color me surprised. So good on San Diego for getting a new team in terms of the MLS, and for them getting a new team entirely, because they need some love in terms of athletics. Because let's be honest, San Diego is a decent sports town, not the greatest sports town, but it is what it is. So in the inaugural debut regarding San Diego FC taking on the reigning MLS champion LA Galaxy, San Diego actually took down the Galaxy 2-0, which really surprised me. So the Galaxy have kind of been hit hard in terms of their free agency and whatnot. I know they kind of lost a few free agents here and there. They also lost a few key pieces due to injury. But this is a little surprising. I didn't think an expansion team would take them down. So, wow, rocky start for the Galaxy as they kind of got outpossessed just a little bit by San Diego. LA only had 3 shots on goal. Well, they had 7 shots attempts overall and then 3 shots on goal. San Diego had 9 shot attempts and 6 shots on goal. They did get 2 yellow cards, but it is what it is. I mean, it's their first ever match. You can't fault them for that. So all in all for San Diego, this is such a big win as both their goals came from Anders Dreyer, who had a goal in the 52nd minute and then a goal in extra time to basically ice the win for San Diego. So talk about a big debut in terms of the MLS. Like, you can't schedule a better beginning for your club. Taking down the reigning MLS champions, I get it. We'll give LA a pass, but dude, that's brutal right there if you ask me. Like, how do you lose to an expansion team? But I guess the Galaxy situation is a lot more deeper than it needs to be. So, and this was played on the road. This was played at the former StubHub Center, or Dignity Health Sports Park as it's now called. So yeah, talk about a sour season opener for the Galaxy, but a great season opener for San Diego as San Diego is already looking pretty solid. But the Galaxy are back in action Sunday when they play at the Vancouver Whitecaps. So look, it's early. We can't hit the panic button too much as, look, it's just one match. I think San Diego should, I mean, the loss to San Diego hurts, but they still should be fine. Meanwhile, San Diego, they'll be back in action tomorrow when they host their first ever game against Seattle City SC or something like that. That was the Seattle City SC. Okay, so I was right. Yeah, I was right. So yeah, this will be played at Snapdragon Stadium, home of the San Diego Aztecs. So good luck to San Diego and good luck to the LA Galaxy. Now, LAFC actually had a better season opener than the LA Galaxy. Sorry to say, Galaxy. But LAFC opened up their campaign of their season with a 1-0 victory over Minnesota. So, all right, well, LAFC at least got the win. I can't really say the same for the Galaxy, but I digress. This one was kind of one-sided. LAFC they pretty much dominated in every category. It's a miracle LAFC only won 1-0 because they had more than 64% of possession. They should have won this one by more. I'm not saying that as a disrespect to Minnesota, but I'm saying that as LAFC always is a good team, as their lone goal came from Jeremy Ebo Bise, who scored in the 78th minute. But Minnesota only had 1 shot on goal, with 12 shot attempts overall. LAFC had 6 shots on goal with 13 shot attempts. Minnesota had 2 yellow cards. Both teams had 4 corner kicks, and Minnesota's goalie was busy to say the least. So all in all for LAFC, this was a good season opener. And they also wound up winning their CONCACAF second leg matchup against the Colorado Rapids, winning 1-0. So between the first leg and the second leg, LAFC actually manages to tie the overall legs 2-2. But LAFC actually has the tiebreaker because they had more goals on the road. So talk about such a heartbreaker for Colorado. Like, imagine being left out of the CONCACAF round of 16 because you did not score 1 goal on the road, whereas your opponent did. And if I recall correctly, I think LAFC scored that late goal on the road against Colorado late in that game, in the first leg. So, them's the breaks, Colorado. But LAFC is back in action tomorrow when they host New York City at NYCFC. So, you have that right there. I'm going to try to speed this along really quick. So the Kings are back in action as, look, the Kings, they're still trying to get a nice little vice grip on their season. Oh, well, not on their season, but they're still trying to vice grip a playoff spot. I think they're still in good shape, but they're only 4 points behind Vegas, but right behind them are the Vancouver Canucks. They have 65 points, which, I mean, and the only true threat is the Calgary Flames, which has 64 points. But unless Calgary and Vancouver can jump Los Angeles, I think the Kings should be fine in terms of playoffs. I just don't. Yes, playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. But for the Kings, my hope is they don't draw Edmonton. If they draw Edmonton in the playoffs, they should just forfeit their playoff games. And then for the Ducks, I will say for the Ducks, it's surprising that they're not sucking as bad. They're only 6 points out of a playoff spot in the Pacific Division. Go figure. Normally the Ducks are like battling for the bottom, not only in the division, but for the entire NHL. But the Ducks have looked really impressive. They're above well, no, they're not above 500, but they have more wins than losses, not overtime losses not included. And they actually are on a winning streak. Their only glaring thing is that they have a goal differential of minus 26. But they are 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. So bravo, Ducks. You're not as bad as most people would expect. And that's not me just being disrespectful. It's just that no one really expects a whole lot out of the Ducks. They are a gong show. And this is probably the most competent they've been in the past 5 or so years. So at least the Ducks are doing something correctly. It just sucks that they're wasting away Trevor Zegras' prime, just like the Angels did with Mike Trout. But I digress. All right, but that's going to pretty much do it. That's kind of the Diet Coke version of the NHL portion. And then just to close off the last bit of potpourri, we had, in terms of SoCal sports, we had UCLA dropping a close game to Duke on Sunday, losing 1-0. And then they lost yesterday to LSU in the first of 2 games. They wound up winning the second game, but they lost to number 6 LSU yesterday by the score of 2-1. So look, UCLA's losses have only been by 1 run. It's not like they've been getting belted by opposing teams, but I think UCLA, they're still solid, and they were number 4 in the nation going into this week. That's probably going to change, but I still should see them as a top 10 team. So they play Utah and Cal State Fullerton today in the second day of Cal State Fullerton's tournament, the Judy Jarman Classic. So I think for UCLA, they should be fine. I mean, unless Cal State Fullerton has some Judy Jarden magic up their jerseys, I think that UCLA should win this one fairly easily. And Utah is bad. They're 4-13. Nothing more needs to be said. So, and it's still very early in the softball season. So we're not going to hit the panic button because UCLA lost 1 game. And we're not going to over-speculate on the other teams like San Diego State, Long Beach State, Cal State Fullerton, et cetera, et cetera. And there is no USC softball, so Trojan fans are just going to have to be excluded from this. But that's going to do it for the quick little gist version of college softball. We're going to take ourselves a little bit of a commercial break. When we come back, I will bring on my guest so we can talk Lakers and some Clippers. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter at any time. Be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph DeLeese, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold, have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph DeLeese, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
And we are back with the final segment of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows. All right, we are back, and we've got one more segment to talk about. Well, two technically, but it's technically one in one sport. But with me, I have my older brother, Teran Rodriguez, to help me talk some Lakers and Clippers. How you doing today, Justin?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Teran?
Doing good. Glad to have you back on the show. So, Lakers.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for being on. So we got to talk some Lakers, as they've actually won 4 in a row. So after that dreadful loss to the Charlotte Hornets, the Lakers have looked pretty solid. As after they just took down the Portland Trailblazers, they actually slayed their 3-game gauntlet pretty well. Well, mostly well. They took down the Denver Nuggets last Saturday, which was a statement win right there. It has been so long since the Lakers, they last beaten the Nuggets in the regular season. And then they also took down the Dallas Mavericks, which that had a lot of storylines and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
And then yesterday they took down the Minnesota Timberwolves, which in this time zone, being Texas time or Central time, we were unable to see it just because, well, unfortunately, it was 7:30 back in California. It was 9:30 here. So, yeah.
Well, you didn't have to get up early. I did. I have to work early, but you could have stayed up and at least listened on on Sirius.
Yeah, I was still pretty tired anyway, so it's all good though. So and I saw the score update on Inside the NBA. I saw that Lakers were up by 17. I'm like, this might actually be pretty good for the Lakers. And then when I checked the final score at the beginning of the season, just like in the first game of the season for the Lakers took down the T-Wolves. They didn't beat them too bad. They only won 111-102, but that's still pretty good.
Well, they struggled against the Timberwolves pretty much all season long. I mean, the Timberwolves, that first win against the T-Wolves in the beginning of the season the T-Wolves, did not get off to a great start. They had a lot of new players in the team on the roster due to the Karl Anthony Towns trade. So there was still a lot of gelling that needed to happen. They played a lot better since then, and the score ended up being a lot closer than we originally thought it was going to be. Apparently the T-Wolves toward the end of the game, almost made a surging comeback, and
Yes.
if it weren't for Anthony Edwards getting tossed late in the game, the Timberwolves might have come back and won.
Yeah, you never really want to speculate after the first week of the NBA, just because it's so tough to really judge a team after 1 week of the NBA or one game in the NBA. Because that one game, as you mentioned, the Timberwolves were still trying to feel things out. They were still trying to feel things out. They had new players with new personnel. They traded away pretty much their franchise guy, Karl Anthony Towns. But I thought the Lakers looked impressive.
Well, what was their franchise?
Yeah.
I mean, clearly the new face of the franchise is Anthony Edwards. And,
yes.
They're building around him.
Mm-hmm.
But you could say the same thing about the Lakers. After the Luka Doncic trade. I mean, that's why I'm kind of willing to give them a little bit of a pass for those losses against Utah and Charlotte. Luka just come back. He's still trying to get reacclimated. I mean, he didn't have a good shooting night. He's been struggling to find a shot really since since his first game with the Lakers. I mean, the only game he really had a good shooting night was against Dallas that night.
Mm-hmm.
As you pointed out earlier, Luka was that he had a lot. He was much more motivated to prove something that night, and he certainly did. So yeah, but I mean, for a new roster, and for considering all the circumstances, the Lakers are doing certainly way better than I thought they would be doing. They've exceeded my expectations. I mean, forgive me if I'm stealing your thunder, but this is a team that that could go all the way to the finals.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, the West is pretty much like all up for grabs, and Oklahoma City is obviously the best team. I don't know if they're invincible though, because all these Western Conference teams look very good. I mean, and some of these teams are starting to peak at the right moment, like Golden State.
Although the Oklahoma City Thunder look really good with Chet Holmgren coming back.
Yeah, that's another big factor.
Yeah, and I didn't even know he could shoot threes the way he did. And they're not just doing on offense; they're doing on defense too. I mean, he can defend. And their other defensive bigs, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, they've really made a huge difference. Like we talked about the last time I was on with you. So to me, they're the team to beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
in the West at least.
Yeah, they're the team to beat. And then the East, I think, has a few good teams. I mean, they've got the Celtics and the Cavs, which are both 1A, 1B.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think it's going to be. It's a two-horse race between Cleveland and Boston.
Mm-hmm. And in last night's win against the Timberwolves, the Lakers had 33 points from LeBron James to go along with 7 boards and 6 assists. Rui Hachimura, even though he didn't put up the biggest points, he still was plus 21s. I don't know if that means too much in the plus-minus department, but you have that.
Well, I heard he's kind of banged up. He may not play tonight.
Yeah, it is a tough turnaround because the Lakers actually have the Clippers tonight and Sunday, so that is a very tough 2-game stretch.
It's just a second night of a back-to-back, so
not even 24 hours rest.
Well, the Clippers have been kind of shaky lately, so we'll see.
Yes, the Clippers just recently beat the Chicago Bulls on Wednesday. They actually were on a 3-game skid before that loss, but they have lost to some solid teams. They didn't lose to like a bunch of no-names and unknowns. But the Clippers, their grip is starting to loosen in terms of their seeding, in terms of the playoffs, because Golden State, like I mentioned, they're peaking at the right time, and they are only half game back of the Clippers, and that win over the Bulls wasn't even that big. They only won by 5, but their 3 games they had lost to were Detroit, Indiana, and Milwaukee. Granted, they were all on the road, and it's tough to really win on the road nowadays, but the Pistons are pretty decent. Pacers are still pretty solid.
The Pistons have been playing lights out.
Yeah,
they are the biggest. They are the surprise of the season. I never expected the Detroit Pistons, to do what they've been doing. I mean, if they could get they're currently the 6th spot. I mean, if they stay there, they could give, if the playoffs started today, they'd be facing the Knicks. They could give that team some fits.
And in the win over the Bulls, James Harden had 30 points, and he had a dagger bucket to basically ice the game against Chicago. So I'm glad for the Clippers' sake they were able to win that one, and that one bit of rest helps them, just because even though they are on the road, they'll still be in their own beds and they don't have to travel too far. They just got to go down the street to the Crypto.com arena. It will forever be Staples Center. I don't care what.
Thank you. I agree.
I don't care what anyone says. It's still the Staples Center, no matter who says what.
I think most Laker fans feel that way. It's just like in Anaheim with the Honda Center. What do people call it?
The Arrowhead Pond.
Exactly. Yeah, the pond. Yeah.
I
wasn't sure if you were going to remember that.
Yeah, I always say it'll forever be the pond, not Honda Center. And Ralph Cleese says, "What's up to Teran's brother? Hope all is well. What a 3-point."
Oh, hey, Ralph.
Yeah, he says, "What a 3-point shot by Luka last night. LOL." Yeah. Luka has been pretty solid as of late, and I've liked what I've seen from him. Now he gets this.
What he's lacked in field goal percentage, he's more than made up in his playmaking. He has made a world of difference, and he's the reason why the Lakers are in the conversation for not necessarily best team in the West, but they can compete for a Western Conference title.
I agree, and I think that
maybe even the NBA title. Who knows?
Yeah, I think the Lakers are definitely trending in the right direction, and I've been impressed with them for the most part, other than the loss against Charlotte. But that wasn't all their fault, because they were actually leading, and then Austin Reeves got ejected, which that did not do the Lakers any favors. Moral of the story: keep your cool heads always prevail. But yeah, this Lakers-Clippers matchup should be quite fascinating. I think the biggest fans of the Lakers tonight will probably be the Golden State Warriors. But the Clippers really got to get it back together. They got to really get it going here, because the Clippers, I think, have a little bit tough, though they continue their tough stretch, as they've got the Lakers twice. And then it does not get easy. It shouldn't get any easier for them. And I told you one time that the Warriors had the easiest strength of schedule going forward. They actually have the second easiest strength of schedule. But I digress in that regard. But for the Clippers, they've got the Lakers twice, Phoenix, which I don't think they're going anywhere. They've also got Detroit, New York at home, Sacramento. They're fighting as much as they can. The Pelicans, the Heat, Atlanta, so on and so forth. They don't play like the big boy teams until like March, which they've got Memphis, Cleveland. They got Cleveland twice. They've got Orlando, which is kind of looking decent. I know they've got, I think, Franz Wagner out.
Franz Wagner.
Wagner, yes, thank you. Franz Wagner out. And then they've got
his brother used to play for the Lakers.
I do remember that, yeah. And then they've got the Warriors to end the season. Dallas is somewhere down the road. Houston. So
that's not an easy schedule. Because I know some of those teams are like on the bubble and in the East, but still you gotta consider they're fighting for postseason berth too. At least when it comes to the play-in tournament, and that's what the Clippers are facing right now. You mentioned where they are in the standings. With the schedule they have, just playing the Lakers twice will be tough for them. If they go on a losing streak, they could fall from 6 to 10 in the drop of a hat.
Exactly.
Because all four of those teams currently in the play-in are right behind them.
Yeah, it's such a logjam for 2 down. Oh, yeah, maybe two plus down. I think Oklahoma City is pretty much a lock for the number 1 seed.
Yes, they are.
Unless they have like a major collapse. But
or God forbid a major injury.
Yeah, Dan. I'm gonna butcher his last name. He goes by Die Hard, but Dan said, Vakalek. Thank you. Dan says Luka had something to prove versus Dallas. He lit them up. He and LeBron are going to gel when it comes down the stretch and in the playoffs. What do you think of that? I definitely agree with that, but I want your take on what Dan says, because he did have a triple-double against Dallas.
Well, I mean, I think they're already gelling. I mean, I think for what I have been able to see when it comes to the Lakers, and like you said, the Lakers have been at home mostly, so I haven't really been able to see entire games all the time. But it seems like the way JJ Redick is approaching this, at least so far, is that like he wants to make sure that LeBron or Luka, one of them's on the floor for the entire game. Like just kind of, with them kind of alternating here and there, and then he'll put them on the floor together at the end, which really helps LeBron, because now LeBron, just having Luka, alone and having another playmaker along with Austin Reeves, by the way, that takes a lot of load and pressure off LeBron, and he has more energy, to play with, not just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end too, late in games, which he wasn't able to do before. I think they're gelling enough right now to win games, and maybe even if they keep this up, they may even get the 2 seed. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot to be decided. There's still a couple teams that scare me come playoff time. One would be Oklahoma City, like we talked about. I mean, to me, they're just a team. To me, they're just really that good. Number 2 would be Denver. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know. Yeah. I know the Lakers beat the heck out of Denver last weekend, but I think we kind of caught them by surprise. We'll see how they do in a best of 7, but Jokic is clearly the best player, and we don't have any size down low, so that'll be our Achilles heel. And the third team that I'm a little worried about, and that's it from there, would be the Dallas Mavericks, if they can find a way. And Charles Barkley said this too last night on TNT. He said, and I agree with him, if the Dallas Mavericks can tread water and weather this storm until they get Anthony Davis and all their bigs, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford back, they're with. I mean, if you watched that game the other night, the Lakers played really well, but Dallas hung in there. I mean, they played good defense in spots. Especially Kyrie Irving, who's not really known for being a defensive player. He made some big defensive plays. If they can get all their bigs back, they're going to have the best defensive team in the NBA. They're going to be a tough out. So nobody will want to play them. Those are really the only 3 teams I'm really worried about. Everybody else, I think the Lakers beat easily in 5 or 6.
Yeah, I agree, and that's definitely a good point. In that Dallas game against the Lakers, Dallas pretty much trailed most of the way. I mean, their only lead pretty much came in the first quarter, and then the Lakers led by as many as 17. But as you mentioned, Dallas hung in there. They got the game tied eventually in the fourth quarter, but they just could not surpass the Lakers. I gotta give credit where credit is due. The Lakers really hung tough against the Mavericks, a hungry Mavericks team that was nowhere near full strength. So I think this Mavericks team is definitely going to cause a lot of fits for opposing teams.
Yeah, and they're playing really well in spite of all their injuries. The Mavericks are. I mean, you got to give Jason Kidd credit. He's done a really good job managing, managing this season with the injury bug. I mean, that's including Luka, by the way, and how he's been able to manage and weather this storm post Luka, and with all the injuries piling up. You know, their only losses since. I think their only losses in February are to Golden State and the Lakers.
Yep. Yeah, that Golden State loss, I don't think really does them justice, just because Golden State's been playing great as of late as well, and that's because Jimmy Butler is one of those reasons why.
Jimmy Butler, yeah, that's easy. Like the way Luka's made a difference for the Lakers, Jimmy Butler's made a huge difference with the Golden State Warriors because he's a playmaker too. He's pretty much his style of play is pretty much the same play, or it's pretty much the same as Luka and LeBron, at least on the offensive end. And defensively, he gets after it too. He's one of when he's right, when he's healthy, he's one of the best two-way players in the game.
Oh yeah, and I kind of fear the Warriors a little bit. They'll probably be the toughest out unless Steph Curry runs out of gas in the tank.
They could. I mean, you saw that game he put up last night, right?
Yeah, he had like 50
steps. Steph.
Yep, that was a Steph Curry masterclass. Yeah, that they're going to be a tough out, and they could probably avoid the play.
Yeah, they'll be tough, but I think the Lakers still beat them. Simply because of their youth. But But Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic have to play their best.
Exactly.
And they can't turn the ball over.
And one other guy I think has been playing well is Jackson Hayes. I don't think he's been getting his flowers all that much.
Yeah, I agree.
He's kind of a young guy, but I think he could be a very, very key asset for the Lakers down the stretch just because he's a big man, and that's what the Lakers need. He's 7 feet, and he's fairly young if you ask me. So I think for Jackson Hayes, he's definitely earning his stripes, and he's earning my respect. That's for sure.
All the bigs have really been playing have improved a lot defensively. Jackson Hayes has played better. Rui Hachimura, has improved his defensive prowess in the paint.
Yeah, and I mentioned he's young. He's not too young. He was
Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah, he came from the 2019 draft, but he's still only 24. So I still think he's still fairly young, but he's been thriving in this Laker offense, which is filled with like playmakers and whatnot. And the more I see him play, the more I feel he's been really impressive. And I'm glad he's on the Lakers and he's earning his playing time, and he's probably going to earn that bag eventually. It's either the Lakers start him or Alex Len or Christian Koloko, who has seen playing time, or Trey Jamison, who has seen some playing time. But if they want the height, they probably got to go with Hayes or Koloko.
What about that Jordan Goodwin guy? I mean, he's done really well to earn himself a lot of playing time.
Yeah, he's flown a little under the radar. He's kind of one of those players that most Lakers fans probably don't know about, but once he steps on the court,
he's certainly not really a name in NBA circles. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but now he's making his name known, and he's definitely making his presence being felt for the Lakers. So I think that's definitely something really good for the Lakers. They need all the help that they can get offensively. But looking at this matchup tonight and Sunday for the Lakers and Clippers, what could we expect from this matchup? Just because Lakers are trying to move up in the standings from 4th to maybe a lot higher, while the Clippers are still trying to find their way, still trying to look as solid as they can be. But what can we expect from these two?
First of all, let me answer your question with a question. Is Kawhi Leonard playing tonight?
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I'd be shocked if he.
Yeah, I haven't really been paying much attention to the Clippers lately, just other than their standings. But he did play the last time he faced the Lakers, and I mean that was long before the All-Star break, but still, I don't know why. I don't know what his status is. You never know what his status
Exactly. He did play against Chicago. He played 33 minutes.
Oh, okay. That was last night, right?
2 nights ago on Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he'll probably be back tonight.
Yeah, he normally, when it comes to the load management thing, he normally plays one night, and if it's like the second
Maybe there's back-to-backs, yeah. I think they decided that, beginning of the season, he's not going to play in back-to-backs. But yeah, I mean, if Kawhi's there, if James Harden's there, I mean, I'm sure they're gonna do their thing, and I like I said tonight, we'll see who's in, who's out. They may sit Luka because he hasn't played in the back-to-back yet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll. I mean, LeBron, he may or may not play. I definitely think tonight will be tough, and I think the Clippers, like you said, they have a lot to fight for. Both teams are really fighting for playoff position, but the Clippers have much more to play for than the Lakers do because they're trying to avoid that play-in tournament scenario. So I think you're going to see, no matter who's in or out of the lineup, I think you're going to see effort from both teams. I mean, both Tyronn Lue and JJ Redick have done a great job managing their respective rosters to the point where it's a next man up mentality. No matter who's on the floor, you're going to get 110% from a Tyronn Lue and JJ Redick coached basketball team. So they deserve a lot of credit.
I agree, and I think JJ Redick could be in consideration for Coach of the Year. But before we expand on that, Clippers have Norman Powell, says he's questionable, but it also says he's out. So that could be big right there. And then Trenton Flowers is day-to-day. But more importantly, Norman Powell is questionable, which that could be a little iffy for the Clips.
Yeah, he's been really good. He comes off the bench, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's either starting. He either starts or he sometimes mostly.
Yeah. Okay, well, I was gonna say he could be a candidate for 6th Man of the Year or Most Improved Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm. All right, but looking at the Lakers' injuries, so Maxi Kleber is out. Rui Hachimura is out, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. LeBron James is questionable. Jackson Hayes is listed as questionable with a hip injury.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, yeah.
He's our only center, really. We don't really have a center. I mean, the closest thing we'd have to a center besides Jackson Hayes would probably be Rui Hachimura.
And he's out.
Or Koloko.
Yeah, he may have to put on his big boy pants. And then Luka Doncic is a game time decision for Friday's matchup against the Clippers. So
he complained of ankle soreness or foot soreness or something like that after last night's game. I heard.
Yeah, it's left calf injury management. So.
Oh, okay. Well then, there's a chance he won't play.
Yeah, and again, it's so tough after the second of a back-to-back. You're asking a lot for him and LeBron and Rui Hachimura and now Jackson Hayes. So that's 4 out of the Lakers starting lineup. So we may
especially for their 2 stars. I mean, Luka in his case, he's just coming back from a major injury, and LeBron. I mean, look, as great as I know he has been playing like it, but he is 40 years old. We want him good. We want him as good and healthy and rested as he can be, but in time for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Because as good as Luka is, they're not going anywhere without him and LeBron in the lineup, especially in the West.
Exactly. Yeah, they need all their star players healthy and as good as possible. Otherwise, they won't have the deep playoff run like you and I are expecting.
I don't even think they get out of the first round without. I mean, maybe they survive. The Houston Rockets with Luka, but you need at least one of the stars, if not both, to get out of the first round.
Yeah, and if those players don't play, if LeBron and Luka are out, it just means that Austin Ridge is going to have to play Superman, and he's going to have to do what he did against the Indiana Pacers a few weeks ago before the All-Star break. And
yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, and I think he definitely is making his name well known. There's a reason why he was one time on the USA men's basketball team, which was so big, and that's why he's earning that bag for the Lakers. And I
think he's a candidate for most improved player.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, so that's something to note right there. But I would hate to see Jackson Hayes out. But it is what it is in terms of like these back-to-backs. These are just brutal.
Well, yeah, and especially against the Clippers, who've got a great big man, and it beats Zubac. It's going to be really tough for the Lakers to unless they have a lights out shooting night. It's going to be really tough for them to get past him, just to get past to beat Zubac alone. So
Zubac is going to be so big. Anything else you want to talk about this matchup or the Lakers or Clippers before we go into the final segment?
I mean, not really. There's not really anything I can think of. I mean, we talked about the Lakers and the Mavs and the Clippers and the Wild Wild West. I mean, I will say this though. I think those 10 teams in the Western Conference, are pretty much. I mean, they're not set in stone, but I mean, I don't think anybody's dropping out of the play-in tournament or anything. It's just a matter of them playing for position and teams trying to avoid the play-in tournament. Mm-hmm. So it'll be really fascinating to see how the second half of the season goes, because the postseason pretty much started after the All-Star break. I mean, you look at the schedule and how teams have realigned with all these trades. Most of the teams' schedules are going to be against conference opponents, and for the West, it's going to be really tough. It's the real season started after the All-Star break, so and that's what makes it all the more fun and fascinating too. We're in for a wild ride, so all we can do is sit back and enjoy it, and we'll see what happens after that.
Well said. And before we get on into Dum Dum of the Week, I actually do want to get your quick little opinion on Matthew Stafford staying with the Rams. So it was reported earlier that Matthew Stafford and the Rams have worked on a deal, a restructured contract to keep him with the Rams, so he won't have to go to teams like Raiders or the Giants or anyone else. But what's your quick opinion on Matthew Stafford staying with the Rams?
Well, first of all, I don't know who is your Raiders. It's certainly not my Raiders.
It's a Chris Berman reference.
Oh, okay.
He said, Raiders.
Yeah, well, that was back when the Raiders were good. Yeah, I don't mean to call Chris Berman an old man, but that was from a long time ago. But in all seriousness, going back to Stafford, I'm really glad to see him back. I mean, I would hate for him. I would have hated to see him leave and just go to another team, because it's like he's as great as he's been. He's in the twilight of his career. I would just hate to see him finish his career in a different uniform, outside of the ones he's played. He's played in so far, and with the Lions and the Rams. So I think with Stafford and with the roster they put around him, the Rams certainly, the Rams can compete for a Super Bowl title. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, let's face it. The Rams with Stafford came the closest out of any team in the NFC to knocking off the Philadelphia Eagles. As a matter of fact, I will go to my. I've said this on many occasions. Off the air, I will go to my grave saying the Rams would have beaten the Eagles had it not been for the snow and inclement weather. They just had one too many drop balls and passes
and fumbles.
Yeah. So and they still had a chance to win at the end,
even with Saquon going off.
Yes. So if they come back and if they're able to add another, defensive weapon, we'll just put this out there, Myles Garrett. I haven't seen him sign with another team or I don't know. I mean, I've heard he's out there. They can be really tough to beat. So I'm glad to see him back. They're certainly not the favorites to win the NFC, but I definitely think they're the favorites to win the division and get back into the playoffs. So I'm congratulations, Matthew Stafford. That means Cooper Kupp could be back too. I know he's been in a lot of trade talks, but he may be able to work out something with the Rams too, even if it means he has to take a pay cut. I mean, and Puka's Puka, and they're gonna be great.
Yeah, and one thing that the Rams need to do is build up their offensive line. If they can build that up, then they should be fine. Because their offensive line, they've got some notables that could be leaving and whatnot, and they've got some young guys on the O-line that still are trying to vie for experience and gain that experience and whatnot. So I think the sky's the limit for the Rams. Although they're going to be playing a first-place schedule, I think they should still be up there in terms of talented teams, not only in the NFC but in the NFL in general. So I can't wait for the Rams season to kick off, and I hope for their sake they can make it back to the playoffs and have another deep run. All right. Well, before we head on out, we got to go over the Dumb of the Week. So, Dumb of the Week is basically like Shaq the Fool. No one is safe from this award. And I need a little bit of inspiration for this week's Dumb of the Week. But thankfully, I tuned into said Shaq the Fool on Inside the NBA on TNT. And I actually saw the perfect one for Dumb of the Week. Now, I wouldn't say this was a dumb thing, but this was very silly or someone done messed up. But it was the Orlando Magic game. And I don't know if I think they were playing Cleveland or someone of that sort. But either way, Mickey Mouse made a premature appearance, which he eventually had to get shooed off the court by personnel and whatnot. So I don't know who messed up in terms of Mickey Mouse's schedule coming in on the court. Maybe someone thought that was the end of the intermission, but someone done messed up, and that person, whether it's the person inside the Mickey Mouse suit or whether it's the PR and whatnot,
or Mickey Mouse himself, he's the guy wearing his costume.
No matter who it was, they're Dumb of the Week. There should have been a little bit more better coordination and whatnot, or the marketing department should have done better in terms of preventing this whole thing from happening. So I know stuff happens, but it was just so funny. Everyone thought that the halftime show was going to be starting, and then it's wait, we still have some time left before halftime. And I think it was against the Warriors. It wasn't against the Cavaliers. It was against the Golden State Warriors where Mickey Mouse had the blunder. But yeah, no Mickey Mouse Clubhouse can save them from this. But Mickey Mouse and friends of the Orlando Magic and their marketing department and the PR and whatnot, you're Dumb of the Week because of this whole debacle thing. And hopefully you could learn from this mistake, because otherwise you're not just going to be on here, but you're going to be on Shaq the Fool. That should have been Shaq the Fool, but instead it was Joel Embiid flying.
Well, it was mentioned. It was nominated.
Yeah, it finished third behind LeBron airballing a free throw and Joel Embiid flying into the crowd trying to get a block from a 3-point attempt.
I wish you could have played it for the people that are watching on YouTube or the live stream. But if you don't want to know what you're talking about, just Google or do a YouTube search on it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, Shaq. Yeah, definitely do Shaq the Fool and whatnot. And,
or just do a search on Mickey Mouse Orlando Magic game. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. The internet is there for you. But on that note, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Another episode in the books. As thank you again, Justin, for being on today's show.
Yeah, thank you, Teran. Appreciate it. And thank you, Larry, and thank you to everybody who watched or listened.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you. So for everyone here at IE Sports Radio, as well as Justin Rodriguez and myself, Teran Rodriguez, we are signing off. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the SoCal sports action. I will see you all on Monday for Set Point. Be safe, be well, and just remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Enjoy the week, everybody. Enjoy the weekend, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Peace.
Peace.